And good evening. Welcome into Frickers of Fremont, week number 2 of the high school football season. We have a packed show here tonight at Frickers. But before I get to the lineup, let me tell you tonight it's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. $7.99 sirloin steak dinner. That's right. You get a sirloin steak, you get a side, all for $7.99. In this day and age of inflation, that's fantastic. Chicken chunks tomorrow night, $7.99. That's a meal. You get the whole meal for $7.99. Monday here at Frickers in Fremont, it's 79-cent boneless wings, and then my favorite, Tuesday night, 89-cent bone-in wings. And that's what's happening here at Frickers. We're going to be here every Wednesday night from 7 until 8:30, and you can also watch live on our Facebook page for Eagle 99. So Nick is over there running the camera, Nick Ross. So everyone wave at Nick. Hey, Nick. Anyway, Nick's running the camera. We got Aiden Klein back at the studio. And I want to tell you, coming up this week on the BAS Sports Network, I will be over at Clyde on Friday with Nick for Toledo Start at Clyde on 92.1 The Wolf, 6:30 pregame Friday night. Over here on Eagle 99, it's the big one, Sandusky at Fremont Ross. One of the biggest rivalries in high school football in the state of Ohio. You'll hear that on Eagle 99 Friday night at 6:30. WTTF on Friday has Monroeville at Calvert. Then on WLEC, it's Perkins at Padua Franciscan. That should be a pretty good matchup for them. And on Coast Country Friday night, it's Margaretta at Western Reserve. But we have a packed night here at Frickers, and we're going to start with Cade Long. He's the defensive coordinator for Fremont Ross. Coming up, though, I have Ryan Lozier, head coach of Lakota, Joe Wyant, head coach of Gifsonburg, and Scott Strecker, the head coach of Woodmore. But Cade's sitting here. We've been kind of chit-chatting for a little bit, but Cade's now the defensive coordinator for the Little Giants, and Chad is actually your...
He's my uncle.
Yep. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about you, and then we'll talk about Fremont Ross. So you went to Clyde. You graduated in 2015.
Yep.
Tell us about your playing for the Flyers all those years, your experiences, and why that made you want to be a head coach.
Oh, absolutely. You know, football's always been a part of who I am, what I've done in my life. I had that instilled in me very young with my dad. He was my defensive coordinator, my linebackers coach all the way up through, high school and stuff.
And we might also mention your dad coached with his brother Chad.
Yep.
And your dad's name is?
Ray Long.
Ray.
Yep.
So Ray and Chad have coached together for a long time.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We'll tie that in a little bit.
They coached together at Ross. But, with him, he was a longtime defensive coordinator at Clyde before going over there and helping my uncle at Ross. But just having that instilled in me. And I always knew, with playing and then going on and wanting to coach, that he was a big reason in wanting to do that. But, my playing career was pretty good. My junior year, we made it to the state Final Four. We beat a very good Toledo Central Catholic team up at BGSU to get to Trotwood Madison there.
That was an epic game.
Oh, yeah.
I listened to that game on the radio, but that was an epic game.
Yeah, it was a really good game. Came down to just one extra point. That's all it came down to. But so that was a very, very good experience for me over there. And then senior year, we made it to the regional finals and ran into Toledo Central Catholic again, but they got us that time. But overall, just a great experience, with the winning program over there, the tradition that they've built that is sustained for quite a while.
It's been a wonderful tradition that Ryan, of course, has continued as head coach when he went from basketball varsity head coach. One year he actually coached both sports, but he's kept the tradition going and won a state championship, of course.
Absolutely.
And Clyde, they had a down year last year, but I watched them Friday against Bellevue, and if they're healthy, they're going to be pretty good this year.
Absolutely.
So let's then talk about your coaching career. Where did you go to college, Cade?
I went to Tiffin University
Okay,
for
so
college.
you're a TU guy, which a lot of guys around here.
Yep.
Did you play there as well?
I went originally to play, ended up getting hurt, and then I actually played rugby for a couple seasons over there, and then got into coaching. I actually started off coaching at the age of 18 with Lakota.
Okay.
So
it's funny, like you're coaching. I've been on the radio since I was 18.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's things we start very young and we continue.
Yep.
So you got the bug there.
Yep.
You ended up being the head coach at Willard.
Yes, yep. I was at Willard for a couple of years.
And you were very young when you were the head coach there.
Yeah, when I got offered the job, I was 21 years old.
I know.
So, yeah.
But your dad was there to help you?
He came in year 2. Yep.
Okay.
He came over year 2 to help us out. But, yeah, we had some interesting times over there to where we had some learning experiences and got to experience, something that was very different from what we've been through
Right,
before.
at Clyde.
Yeah.
We're talking with Cade Long. He's a defensive coordinator now for the Fremont Ross Little Giants. Kind of talking about his coaching career before we talk about the Little Giants and their game with Columbian on Friday. Of course, they got their big one with Sandusky this week. You'll hear on Eagle 99. Don't forget you can also watch our broadcast here from Frickers in Fremont on the Facebook page of Eagle 99. So what did you take? What was the biggest thing you took out of the Willard coaching experience?
Just, not every situation is going to just be shining and there for you. So you're going to have to work for things. You're going to have to make adjustments. You're going to have to really dig in and try to change things culture-wise in the way people think and how you want your players to think, and not only just on a football level, but on a life level as well. So it's just, getting them to get their mindset away from what it was and trying to build a culture that can sustain itself.
And building a culture is probably the hardest thing to do in football, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the most difficult things to do. To get a locker room of 40 to 50 guys to buy in all in the same year, same aspect, same thing that you've been trying to preach to them all season.
Well, and then you come over, and now you're the defensive coordinator for the Little Giants. This is your second season, I might mention.
Yep, second season.
So you're obviously a lot more comfortable with the kids.
Yep.
You've had that extra year with them. Do you feel like it's gelling more heading into Columbian this year than what you had last?
I think
defensively?
So. Yeah, defensively for sure. And just last year, just helping out as a linebackers coach, and then obviously getting to take over the role as defensive coordinator this year. But yes, having that background of knowing the kids, knowing what they're capable of, knowing how they respond to different things, how you treat them in terms of how you're talking to them, that's huge in me knowing, the strings I can pull and the strings I can't pull.
Right.
And that allowed them to, take a little bit more ownership and a little bit more respect into what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it.
We're here at Frickers in Fremont. We're talking with Cade Long, defensive coordinator for the Fremont Ross Little Giants. Can I mention, too, Haley, our server tonight? She is fantastic.
Excellent.
I want to give her a shout-out. She has been fantastic here tonight. Also, $7.99 sirloin steak dinner tonight. If you can't make it tonight, that's okay. Tomorrow night, chicken chunk meal for $7.99. Okay, let's talk about the Little Giants in 2024. You played Columbian. You were winning at halftime. You held them not to
6
points in that
11
first.
6 at halftime.
So you had to be pretty happy with the first half last week.
Yep, first half went well. We didn't play to what we typically had in those first two scrimmages. But, you'll take being up at halftime any chance that you can get.
Yes.
So, yeah, we were definitely okay with where we were, but we knew we needed to try to continue to push and continue to get better in the second half and try to win the game.
Obviously, you gave up 21 in the
Yep.
second half, but offensively, you guys didn't do anything either. So what was the difference then in that second half?
I think the difference was, going into it is, we come out, get a stop, and then we ended up going ahead and having to punt back to them. So we had a little bit of momentum with getting that stop, and then we got to punt it back to them, and now we're back on defense again. But I think the biggest thing was just the physicality part of it. I think that Tiffin, and it's hats off to them, they've coached their guys and taught their guys, keep swinging no matter when it is. And I just think that they just kept coming, and we just kind of wore out a little bit towards the end.
I know they're Division III, but they're a really good Division III program.
They are.
The last, what would you say, 10 years? They've been phenomenal. It's at least 10 years, maybe even longer, but they've really built a good program. So that's been a good rivalry. It started right before COVID, the year before. It happened earlier, and then they brought it back in like 19 or something like that. I remember we were supposed to play at Columbian in 2020, and it didn't happen because they just did the COVID scheduling. So Ross played 6 conference games, and that was the year we won our playoff game like 60-something to nothing. That was such a fun night out at Don Paul Stadium. Big week. You get to host your rivals, the Sandusky Blue Streaks. Now, this is kind of fun for you because at Clyde, you would have played Sandusky. No, because they were in the...
Yeah, they didn't join the SBC.
They were in the NOL at that point, right? Okay.
Yep.
So you wouldn't have played them, and you wouldn't have played them in the non-conference. Now you would, but I'm assuming, being from Clyde, you would have known some kids from Sandusky. So on tape, what do the Blue Streaks pose offensively that's going to be a problem for the Little Giants this week?
Yeah, they're very, very fast. They're
a lot of
running
team
around, speed. A lot of speed, yeah. Their receivers are very good with their ball skills in terms of going up for it. Quarterback's got a cannon, and he likes to run. So just our game plan is just making sure we're keeping him under control, not letting him get out and dictate how the game's going to go.
Okay, so Lucas Pajali was their head coach last year.
Yep.
Supposed to be the head coach this year. Then they have something weird happen. I don't
Right.
know. He ends up going to Margaretta to coach with Quizno. And they have a new coach. So what you guys thought Sandusky was going to do probably changed over the summer, right?
Right.
So
Yep.
now when you're looking at that tape, that was very important tape last week.
Absolutely.
In their game
Yes.
against, they played Clay last
Yep.
week. So you're looking at that tape dissecting. Are they doing a lot differently this year than they did last year?
It's still fairly similar because I know, Coach Pajali, he had them going in the right direction.
Yes, he did.
He was an excellent coach that
At the
had
end of the year, they were really playing well.
Absolutely. And he had his team playing well. So a lot of it is still the same because they saw the benefits of what he was doing, which is good for them because that's what they should have been doing and going with what he had in place. But, so they pretty much stayed the same, but we really couldn't tell what they were going to do
Right.
because
You
the
didn't
coaching
know.
changed,
Yep.
right? So this
Is the
film
new
was
coach
very
one of the
telling.
assistants from
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
We're live here at Frickers in Fremont. It's our second high school football coaches show. Next week is Fremont Ross night here at Frickers. So the Little Giants will be here. I guess you'll be back next week, Cade.
Yep.
The captains will be here. And then the next scheduled team night is September 18th. I'll be here for the Clyde Flyers. We'll also have a team night September 11th, but it's not scheduled at this point. I'm talking with the defensive coordinator, Cade Long, of the Fremont Ross Little Giants here at Frickers in Fremont. We have about 5 more minutes to talk. So you have Sandusky this week. Now, we were talking before you went on. Your schedule, so we got out of that old league because we were playing such big schools. Now I look at your non-conference schedule. Division I Perrysburg, Division I Whitmer, Division I Findlay. It's funny how things didn't change, but the point is these are non-conference games
Right.
now, and your conference is Napoleon Clay, Southview, Waite, Bowling Green. My point is, even after this week, things don't get easier for the Little Giants.
Yes, yep. We go through. Yep, after Sandusky, who is a very talented team in their own sense. Yeah, we run into Perrysburg, Whitmer, Findlay. Obviously, very, very good football teams that have succeeded at the highest level for the longest time in their respective divisions, which all happen to be one.
At least you don't play Central Catholic anymore.
Yeah,
That's a good thing, right? We were kind of reminiscing about the what year would that have been? 2021 Fremont Ross Central Catholic game out at Don Paul, where it was our best chance to beat them. It was such a good game. We were winning there in that second half, and that freak interception just kind of ruined things. So my point is these 5 weeks are really tough, right? So physically, and then you kind of get into conference where you're playing teams more your size.
Right.
So the point is obviously not to get too beat up, number one. You got to stay healthy. If you're going to have a good year, you got to stay healthy, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
And what's it going to obviously conditioning's a big part of that, but when you play the bigger schools, I mean, obviously technique comes in, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely,
when you play a Perrysburg, a Whitmer, or Findlay, you're playing a guy might be 10 to 20, 30 pounds. What do we do here?
So our biggest thing, coming into some of these is just we have a lot of speed on our end, so we're going to have to try to play with speed. All right, it's not really a chance to where we're going to try to line up and just outbody them.
You don't have a Dontrez Brown on your team no more?
No, we do not. But, so we got a ton of speed, and that's with our D-line unit. That's with our linebackers all the way to our safeties and corners. We have a ton of speed
That's
that we're
great.
going to hopefully, execute and use that a lot more often. So we're hoping to see that on display against Sandusky, and hopefully we can roll that right into these big 3 that we're heading into.
And I might mention Cade's here because they're actually having a pep rally,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
For UN St. Joe downtown right as we speak.
Yeah, community pep rally.
That's
yep.
awesome because this is your first home game coming up. And I know St. Joe has a home game on Saturday because we'll have that game on sister station WLEC. I think it's the St. Joe. Let me look here. I'm pretty sure. St. Joe at St. Mary's. That's the first time they'll have been playing since
Yeah.
St. Mary's went to 8-man.
Right.
So that's kind of cool for those guys.
Absolutely.
They get to play their rival.
Exactly.
And it's a game they'll have a chance at least to compete in,
Absolutely.
So I really think it's great that St. Joe went to 8-man. I thought they should have done it a couple years ago. But anyway, so big pep rally. We want a lot of people out at Don Paul. We know there's going to be. It's the home opener, and you're playing Sandusky.
Absolutely.
It should be a sellout.
Should be.
Well, Cade, I've really enjoyed getting to talk to you here
thank
today.
You. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me
Thanks,
on.
buddy. Hopefully get to talk more in the future.
Absolutely.
Cade Long has been our first guest here at the Frickers of Fremont High School Football Coaches Show. He's the D coordinator for the Little Giants. Coming up, we'll talk with Ryan Lozier, head coach of Lakota. And you're listening to the Frickers of Fremont High School Football Coaches Show on Eagle 99. really good team this year.
Oh, they are.
What about Arcadia? You played them this week. What have you seen on film on them?
They got a couple nice athletes in their backfield. A good running back, good quarterback. I'm drawing a blank right now. Coach that came over from Fostoria. Kidwell. Coach Kidwell.
Oh,
Coach
Kidwell.
Kidwell has
Derek.
been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
So I told our kids tonight they'll be ready to go. I know they got beat by Corey Rawson last week, but Coach Kidwell is a good coach, and he's going to have them in the right places to
He's been
be
around a long
successful.
time.
Yeah.
It's like Quizno.
Yeah,
Margaret.
Coach has been
It's
around,
a long
too,
time.
so.
You'll see him later.
I will.
You're going to see like 2 Hall of Fame coaches here.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Then Northwood, and then you get into conference. Now, you don't have St. Joe this year because they're now going to 8-man. And I was just looking.
Picked up Lucas.
That's who you. Oh, yeah, I was trying to figure out. Now, there's a program that's always really good,
They
too.
are. They are really good.
So, wow. So they had an opening that late in the year that you at least you have a game, right?
Yeah, well, that was our biggest thing. Is it's so hard to find a game that late in the year, and I'm glad that our league is finally fixing that. So, for instance, Hopewell doesn't have a game week 8 because we have the hiccup in our schedule that we have. So we didn't really have much option there. Lucas has been a really good football team, so we're going to be ready to go that week. But like you said, we got a lot of good football teams before them too.
You do. I'm talking with Lakota head coach Ryan Lozier. You get 6 home games at least, if I counted this right, which is always good. But that means next year you got to travel 6 times.
Right.
But you'll be
actually, we got lucky because it's 5 next year because of the new schedule alignment.
So there
year
you go. You got really lucky for your first year
Absolutely.
as head coach. And, of course, Ryan has taken over the program at Lakota for Mike Leno. We're here at Frickers of Fremont for the high school football coaches show. You can also tune in on YouTube. You'll find the link on our Facebook page at Eagle 99, the Eagle 99 Facebook page. Of course, you can listen at WFROradio.com as well. Next week, it's Fremont Ross night here at Frickers Fremont. But back to Ryan and the Lakota Raiders. So they have Arcadia this week, and then back-to-back home games with Northwood. And then you get to see Mike Lento in week 4. That'll be strange for everybody involved there because it's at your place.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
If it was at Calvert, it'd be not as strange. But, yeah, it will be fun.
It'd be fun. It'd be a good night.
Yeah, Calvert. And then what's your look at when you look at the league, obviously I've seen Calvert, so they seem pretty good. They've lost a lot from last year. But who's the other Hopewell?
Hopewell is probably the top dog in our league, and we know that. Gibsonburg just beat a good Ottawa Hills
I
team,
saw
so
that,
they're going to be good.
And we'll have Joe on here in a little bit, too.
Calvert's going to be good. I mean, our league's pretty good this year. So we're going to have our work cut out for us week in, week out, and we're just going to keep getting better and go out on Friday night and give it our best shot.
It's really top-heavy because, Margaretta's good now. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad week for us,
No.
so we got to get ready to go, and we will.
And you'll end the season, obviously, with Woodmore on the road. But the Lakota Raiders are in Division 6 this year. Ooh, 6, Region 22. Who are some other teams? Let's see.
Hopewell's in there.
Hopewell's in there. Let's see.
Margaretta
and Woodmore. Monroeville 7. So most of your schedule's 6 and 7. So you do. Northwood is a 5, Division 5, Region 18. So, Ryan, as a quarterback, do you find yourself wanting to coach offense more, or do you coach both sides of the ball, or what's your specialty when you're coaching?
I'm definitely an offensive guy.
Okay.
I never really played much defense. Old Coach Carter wouldn't let me.
He wouldn't let you be free safety back there?
I tried, and I missed one time on a tackle in practice, and he told me I was done. So, no, I'm more of an offensive guy, but I try and, float during defense and help where I can. That's a good thing about my staff is I have a lot of really good coaches around me. To where I don't feel like I have to do everything, which is nice, especially being as young as I am.
Right.
Because there's times where, there's moments they don't tell you about as a head coach, and it gets to you sometimes.
So
it's
you
nice
feel overwhelmed sometimes?
At times. I mean, I think that's natural.
That's natural.
Absolutely. So, but it's good that I have, my dad's my DC, so I can turn to him, and I trust him with our stuff. And my brother-in-law is kind of our co-DC.
Right.
And then I got a couple other guys on that side of the ball that really know what they're doing, so I can more so focus on our offensive side.
I'm loving this movement we're having to younger coaching. I'm loving it, really, because we need some and I think the kids also, I don't know, they seem to respond.
They do.
I mean, you're only out of high school 8-10 years, right? Like, what's it been?
It's only been 4 years.
4 years, so and not even that long. I mean, geez,
hey, don't
really
put
age.
don't
well,
put
your
years on me,
freshman year
man.
be 8, but anyway, so 4 years, that's not a lot.
No.
Like if I try to go in and be like, who's this old guy trying to teach me something? You know what I mean? But they probably respond better to you because you're more on their wavelength.
I am, and that was probably one of the big worries when I got the job from some people. But I think I've created a good relationship with them to the point where they understand my fire. I'm
Right.
a fiery person. I am. But so they know when it's time to go and it's time to have fun. And I can have both those with them, and our staff has fun too as well. But when we have to turn it on and get better, they know that. And like you said, secret. Therefore, a lot of the same things they do and hear and see.
Right.
I mean, I see it with my buddies, or just little things like that. So you do relate to them well, and I'm closer in age with them than I am, my dad and things like that. So
Did you come to Frickers when you were a senior?
I did. a
Yeah,
couple times,
I would have interviewed you
Really?
your senior year because John couldn't be here that night. I
Yeah.
remember that, and that was the year you went on to win the state. So you would have been here 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about watching you talk. You are a very fiery person, but the night before the state championship game, did you sleep at all? Like, could you sleep, or were you just way too amped up?
It was a long week. I didn't sleep much, but at the same time, I did. I was pretty, confident in our abilities and in our team. So it never really kept me up at night. I was talking to some people, last week before Monroeville game, I was nervous. I was anxious all week long. I told a couple people close to me, like, I might be freaking out. But,
Right.
but I think because when you win that state title, being a quarterback, I had the ball in my hands. So
Right.
I could impact things.
Every play.
You know what I mean? So I was confident in that. I'm not saying I'm not confident in our guys, but I can't make the play anymore. Therefore,
You're telling them what to do as
so
opposed to acting on what somebody else tells you.
so it puts a little bit more kind of pressure on it. But no, it's fun. I enjoy it. But that night, I didn't sleep much, and the next night I didn't either because, we were having a big old celebration in town.
It was such a great game. I was watching and listening to John call the game. So I was watching on
the TV. Yeah.
back then. I can't remember what channel they were on.
I think it was on Next Spectrum.
Yeah,
and then
but I was listening to John call, and I was like, no, they got it. It was a much different feeling watching you guys playing the state championship than watching Bellevue. But Bellevue also had to play Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary, so it's a little different in that aspect. But for you guys, you played some really good teams, and I think when I look back on that, I really think you guys ran the ball so well. And how many games did you play in cold and snow? You were at Findlay in the snow.
We were.
The point is, you guys ran the ball so effectively. Everyone else you were playing at that point was a spread.
Yeah, well, and, looking back at that, we were tough to guard because we had three guys within Gunnar, Golden, Nick Webb, myself that could run it. And then we had some good receivers, and, we could throw it. So we were tough to guard. So I try and take that in consideration now as a coach. I try and be a little balanced with it. And because I think to win games in Ohio in late November, you got to be able to run the ball.
That's a great point. So when you're calling plays now, you are actually thinking about balance.
You have to.
You're like, oh, my God, I just threw the ball 5 straight times.
Yeah.
But so you're actively thinking about it.
Yeah, you have to.
Because people at home or the parents are always like, why the heck are you throwing the ball 6?
Right.
But see,
There's
coaches think about this stuff. They're
things
not
to
doing stuff without thinking about
No,
it.
I think about it probably 24/7. Drives me nuts most of the time.
I know. I am such an advocate for coaches, as you know.
I appreciate it.
So
No, I still look back at the Monroeville game. I should have did this and that differently, but
it's your first game as the head coach.
Yeah, it's fun.
You'll learn from it
You will.
and move on, and that's the point. And the kids will learn from it
they will.
move on.
No, they've had a good week too, and they're working hard. It's been hot, and it could have been easy after getting our butts kicked to kind of come to practice and go through the motions, but I feel like we've gotten better this week, and that's our goal each week is to get better. And on Friday nights, the wins are going to come.
Yes, they are. We're talking with Ryan Lozier. He's the head football coach of the Lakota Raiders, and we're live at Frickers in Fremont. It's sirloin steak night. You can get your sirloin steak for just $7.99 every Wednesday night at Frickers. And I don't think I've mentioned kids eat free at Frickers. That's the best part, right?
Absolutely.
You get good food, and the kids get to eat too, so it's awesome. So come on into Frickers. We're here every Wednesday night, but they're open every day of the week here at Frickers in Fremont. So, Ryan, we're wrapping up. Do you have any goals for this year for the team? Or
we want to contend for a league title every year.
Right.
I don't care where we're at as a program. I don't know. I can't tell you the last time we won one. I think it was in the 1990s.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. You want to make the playoffs, win playoff games, and but short-term goals, we just want to get better every week and compete.
Right.
There's wins on our schedule that we got to have, and our kids know that. So we're going to get after it, and week in, week out, win or lose, we're going to play hard and like I said, just get better. But ultimately, where I come from and how I was raised,
right.
I expect to win football games. So there's no. I'm not dropping my expectations. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, there's no drop. That's for sure.
Absolutely not. So.
Well, Ryan, I wish you best of luck, buddy.
And
we'll talk again in the future here, and hopefully we'll be talking. Man, get into the playoffs in year one. Let's do it,
Let's do
right?
it. So that's the goal.
That is. All right, Ryan Lozier, our head coach of the Lakota Raiders. We'll come back to Frickers in Fremont. Coming up next, we're going to talk football with the Gibsonburg football team and Joe Wyatt coming up, head coach of the Golden Bears. Boy, I haven't talked to Joe in a couple of years. It's going to be fun to do that right here at Frickers in Fremont and, of course, on Eagle 99. To Frickers of Fremont. Kyle Knight here doing the hosting tonight, and we're talking high school football. Joe Wyatt will be my next guest, the head coach of the Gibsonburg Golden Bears, coming up here in just a minute. I want to invite you into Frickers. Every night is something special at Frickers. Monday night, it's 79-cent boneless wings. Tuesday, 89-cent bone-in wings. Wednesday, it's sirloin steak night for $7.99. Thursday, chicken chunks for $7.99. as well. So let's talk a little Gibsonburg Golden Bear football with head coach Joe Wyatt. And Joe, you've had a nice win on Friday over Ottawa Hills. Before we talk about that, it's hard to believe you've been there 5 years already. Time's flying by already.
Flying by.
Can you believe it was your 5th year already? Wow. I remember your first season. You've had some really good years at Gibsonburg, and you continue to run the wing T, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
So let's start there. You guys have run the wing T for a long, long time. It's been a staple at Gibsonburg. Kids learn it from when they start playing football all the way to the top, and it works for you. Why have you guys stayed with the wing T?
Well, we think you got to dominate the run to be a good team. And I was at Eastwood and for 17 years coaching varsity football there. And we went to the wing T like in 2006 or something like that. So we ran it there. And then I coached with Quizino for 3 years at Oak Harbor after I was done at Lakota. And 3 years there. So that's where I learned it from, was Quiz.
Okay.
And then Jerry, when I went there, Jerry decided to go into the wing T.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Rutherford, and the Hall of Fame coach,
Mm-hmm.
and Quiz, the Hall of Fame coach. So, and I've been it since then.
Okay. I know I'm good friends with Jason Ziegler, who was the head coach at Perkins for a long time. He ran the wing T, and he also learned it from Quiz, I think.
Yeah.
So Quiz has taught that to a lot of people. So what's the advantage offensively? Because you're controlling line of scrimmage, or is the fact you have 3 options when you're running? Like, what is the biggest key?
Well, it's alignment. Everything pretty much is ankle block. They all block down using one kick out. and in about every play. It's all about angles. So it helps our linemen, so you don't have to have huge linemen. No, we're good size this year, but normally we're not. You don't have to have huge linemen to be able to block down. We got 4 guys that can carry the ball. I know everybody wants to throw it around the net, but they got 4 that can throw to. We got 4 that can run the ball.
Right.
So, and it's a little bit deception in everything.
Hey, it works. And the other thing is you control the clock.
Correct.
And as long as you're winning the game, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, nice drives and control the clock.
And score points.
Yeah, as long as you get the ball, they're not scoring. Now, with this year, we went to a little bit. We're playing with it, a little bit shotgun wing T.
Okay.
But it's still wing T plays.
So what is the difference for the quarterback in the shotgun in the wing T as opposed to under center?
Well, he's got to be a little bit more of a running back when
Okay.
he's in the shotgun. And we got a young sophomore we stick in at quarterback when we go shotgun. And then our other quarterback goes to split end.
Okay.
So a little bit of both.
Well, it's so nice when you have, like you said, 4 options when you're running the football, and the defense has no idea who's coming at them. We're talking with Joe Wyatt, head coach of the Gibsonburg Golden Bears, in his 5th season now, as we're here at Frickers in Fremont for the High School Football Coaches Show. So, Joe, that was a big win. Ottawa Hills, good team. You beat them 26-7. What'd you like the most about your win on Friday night?
Well, I think the kids played hard. They worked really hard, and I think our defense played really well. Our defensive coordinator, Glenn Owens, did a great job. The kids all knew what they were going to run by the formation. They did a lot of things by formation that you knew where they were going to run the ball. They had a great running back. He's really fast. And then the quarterback they have really good. We played really well. And then offensively, we moved the ball and had some big plays, and we just played well. It's a total opposite of a year ago.
Yeah, I did the game 2 years ago at home. I think it was Connor's senior year maybe. And you just got out to a bad start and you kind of played better late. But that's a nice win. And that's Division 6 team, too, you just beat. So that's good for computer. And then this week, of course, Seneca East, another Division 16. What have you seen in them on film?
They throw the ball really well. The quarterback has a really good arm. He's a good athlete. He's a state placer in wrestling. I know him. But they got some average size. They're not huge, but they play hard, and they had a huge win last week against Ashland Crestview. So we think it's going to we're hoping it's a good game here. We're hoping we have a chance.
Joe, the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams you played actually won their opening game. So
yeah, our
see,
first
5 1-0 teams coming up, including Edison.
Yeah, our first 5 games are brutal. They were brutal last year. Last year we were lucky and won 1 of the 5, Seneca East, and they had a lot of turnovers that game. The field was really wet, and there was like 5 turnovers, and we won 12-7 or something like that, 12-8. So we were pretty fortunate last year to get the win.
Well, maybe it was karma from the year before, or was that 2 years ago when you played Western Reserve in that pit?
Oh, that was
because the whole
horrible.
game was on the mud side of the field, and by the end, it was a fun, entertaining game, but you lost by 1 point, but it wasn't fair for either team, I don't think. You know what I mean by that?
That was the most rain I've ever played in.
It was horrible.
And field was horrible.
Yeah. And all the game was played on the south end, so it just got worse and worse.
Yeah.
And then you lost by 1 point, if I remember right. So that was just a nasty weather that rolled through. But my point is, too, you have Edison then the week after.
Who's really good.
Really good.
Division 5.
Right, and then Hopewell, of course, to start conference play. So really doesn't get any easier. You lose St. Joe, and you picked up, looks like Willard then, right?
No, we picked up like
Corey Rawson.
Corey Rawson.
Oh, there you go.
We didn't have much choice on who we picked up, and it came down to that, and we took Corey.
Okay. I didn't know if Willard was up a division this year or not, but they would be playing anyway. Because Lakota, I noticed their crossover was Lucas, but yeah. So your schedule, obviously, really, really tough. How does your roster kind of break out this year?
We got 32 32, but most days with guys hurt and everything else, we have about 28 to practice.
Okay.
But we don't have many. We're pretty even in every class. Every class has just about the same amount. I think there's 8 seniors, 8.
So it's
8 and
good
8,
balance
I think.
then, right?
Yeah,
8, 8,
we're
8, 8.
pretty much, I think.
Are you going to get to play a full JV schedule and all that this year?
We're trying to play JV, but right now it's only with 13 or 14 players right now that's on it. So it's a little bit week by week because of injuries and that. So
Are you banged up right now, Joe?
not on varsity. We had a couple guys. We had one guy get hurt last week a little bit, ankle, but he's back. So we have no one injured. That counts.
Talking with Joe Wyatt, head football coach of the Gibsonburg Golden Bears. It is week 2 coming up, and they'll take on Seneca East this week, and that will be on the road. So they were at home with Ottawa Hills. Let's talk about Reese. Is it Walby? Is that how I say that?
Reese Walby, yes.
Walby. He had a good game, huh? 15 attempts, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's a per carry average of 11 yards. So Reese obviously had a pretty good game Friday night.
Yeah, I think all 13 of those yards was from our carries were from the playing quarterback.
Okay.
He's the guy who put in the
shotgun. Okay.
For the quarterback. He did a really fine job for first time back there. Last year he was a starter. He's a wing as a freshman. Mm-hmm. We started 6 freshmen a year ago.
Wow.
So
that's a lot at
Gibsonburg. It's a little bit paying off, yeah.
But no, for Gibsonburg, that's a lot.
Yes.
You don't usually start freshmen,
no.
maybe one, but that's about it.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
That's it.
And then Grant Smith had a pretty good game, too, last week.
Yeah, he played well. He's back after the injury, and that was a good start for him.
And he averaged 6 yards a carry.
Yeah.
So if you can average, I'm just going to – I don't see a
they're
team
both
total here. But
sophomores.
so your carries per carry average 11, 6, 9.5, 5, 3, and 3. So even on the low end, you would take 3 yards every time because 3 plus 4 is 12.
Yeah.
So you're averaging about 6 yards a carry here.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
And that all goes to that offensive line you were talking
Yeah,
about.
the offensive line, they do a good job.
Let's talk about defense. Obviously, they held a good Ottawa Hills team to just 7 points. You had to be happy about that.
Yeah, we only give up, well, like I said, we did a really good job reading their formation. We only give up 40 yards rushing.
Wow, that's total.
Yeah, and their guy, their running back is really good. But we stuffed them enough and got a lead. They threw a little bit more than they probably normally wanted to.
So you got them out of their game plan.
Yes.
Which is kind of what 2 years ago when they did the game, thinking back, they kind of did the same thing to
to
you.
Yeah.
You couldn't run the ball as much as you wanted because you were kind of out of the game plan. So Seneca East, we said this week. So for your defense, what's the big key on Seneca East?
Well, we got to stop the run, obviously, in first place, but we can't give up the big, long pass plays. They like to throw a lot deep, and we just can't give up a big play and make them a little bit at a time on the passing.
Did you guys do a preseason poll this year?
Yeah, I think we're picked fourth in our league.
So let me just guess. Hopewell first?
Yep. Calvert, I think it was.
Calvert was second?
Margaretta was third.
Okay,
and
you
we were
fourth. And Calvert, I thought they'd be down a little bit, but they looked pretty good last week. I did the game, the Calvert Mohawk game on TTF last week. They looked pretty good.
Yeah, they looked pretty good. I saw it on tape.
On tape, okay.
But, yeah, their quarterback, the freshman quarterback, did a good job.
For a freshman, he played. His first pass was a little suspect, but after that, you could tell he really settled down. He played really well after that.
He comes from a good family of athletes. You know, his dad was a really good baseball and wrestler, and his brother's a really good baseball player.
Yeah, you happy for Mike? He got the job over there.
Yeah.
So Steve leaves, and Mike goes. Steve's the old coach at Gibsonburg. Well, two before you.
Yes, two before
you. And then Mike, of course, coached at Lakota, and now he's over at Calvert. So I really like what he has to work with this year. So, as always, the SBC is just not easy. You know, even Willard is going to be good. You know what I mean?
Better. Woodmore, I think, is
it's going to be
really
better too.
Better.
Yeah,
they got big numbers.
In the last couple years, he's really done a pretty good job building up the program.
Yeah.
So, I was there when they actually beat St. Joe. Was that the same year you lost the opener? So that was 2 years ago. and it was 0-0. Seriously, at the end of regulation, the score was 0-0. So they went to overtime. Woodmore scores first. St. Joe doesn't score. They win, and all the kids run out of the stands. It was so awesome to see where they come from that, right?
Yeah.
To build the program. So it's nice to see. Plus, it's good to have them in the SVC where you're playing them all the time because they're really a rival of yours based on distance.
Close,
Yeah.
5 miles away maybe or whatever
right.
it is.
So, Joe, your 5th year at Gibsonburg. How long do you want to coach?
Oh, I don't know. When I took the job, I told him I'd try to stay 5 to 7, 8 years. I'm retired.
I know.
I don't have anything else to do other than coach.
So this is all, I mean, obviously retirement, you have things to do, but so this is your job. This is the only job you have in retirement.
It's the only job I got.
And this is a great job to have in retirement, isn't it?
I enjoy it. As long as I enjoy it and I stay healthy, I plan on coaching.
What age did you start coaching?
I actually started coaching at 20.
Okay.
So I think I got 51 years. This is my 51st year.
So if you do the
of
math,
coaching
I'm not going to
since
say it, but I've done the math.
I'm 71.
Okay, you can say it, but I won't.
I'm 71.
Yeah. Joe, I would not know that. I thought you were maybe mid-60s, truthfully. So
No.
You look young, buddy.
Well, I'm glad I look it, but I don't feel it sometimes.
Hey, you know what, though? As long as the kids can respond to you, that's really all that matters, right? As long as you can talk one-on-one with these kids, it's really
Kids are really great
Yep.
that we have. I have no issues with the kids. None.
and it's wonderful, right?
Yeah.
Did
I
you
enjoy it.
were you a teacher as well when you?
I worked in with the mentally handicapped at
Oh,
Wood Lane.
okay.
At Wood Lane and BG,
Okay.
MRDD.
So you did that for
Yeah,
pretty much your whole
yeah,
career.
yeah.
That's wonderful. Honestly,
My last 20 years.
if I could go back, I'm in the school a lot now. I'm a building sub at Perkins, but if I could go back, I would definitely. I would be a special ed teacher. I think I'd be really what I want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I enjoyed that part. I didn't know if I could do it, but last 20 years I did.
Well, when I was subbing, they always said, "Hey, can you go in and just see if you like it?" So people either like it or don't. And so I was like, "Oh, of course I'll do that." And you go in there and you fall in love with those dang kids, and you don't want to leave. You know.
Before that, I was a Whirlpool guy.
Really? Okay.
For 25.
Wow. So that's a long time to be a Whirlpool. So, all right, Joe, you got Seneca East. Then we talked about the road trip to Edison. Boy, you have back-to-back road trips before you get another home game. So, obviously, it was nice to get to start at home because you're not going to be there until week 5. Yeah. And most of your schedule is back heavy because you have 3 of 4 home games then at the end.
Correct. With
Lakota, on the road at Willard, Margaretta, Corey Rawson. So it's just one of those strange years. Last year the schedule was opposite, so you had more home games at the beginning. You really have no control over it, so you don't think about it, right?
No, I have no control. It's what they give me, and that's what we got. It'll change next year with Northwood coming in and into the league. And that.
So Northwood comes in next year. Okay.
And that'd take Corey Rawson out for
Okay.
1 year.
So you'd be full.
Yeah.
Thing is, once we get to basketball, there's so many teams in that River Division. You could almost play round robin and get 22 games in the River Division in basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so many teams there. All right, Joe. As always, great talking to you, buddy. Good luck this year. We'll have Gibsonburg night later in the year.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, as always, thanks, Joe. And I do want to remind you what's coming up here on Eagle 99 and the rest of the BAS Sports Network as we're live at Frickers in Fremont on Wednesday nights, starting last week and all the way through October 30th, the night before Halloween, will be our last show here at Frickers. And Tim will get to do that last one. But let me tell you what's coming up. On Friday night, Nick and I will be over at Clyde for the Flyers and the Start Spartans. That game will be at 6:30 on Friday night. Then over on Eagle 99, it's the Fremont Ross Little Giants and the Sandusky Blue Streaks. On WTTF, Monroeville at Calvert. That should be a great game right there. Monroeville at Calvert. And I think you can live stream that game on WTTF's Facebook page. I'm not positive about that, so don't take my word for it, but I'm pretty sure. I know you can listen to the game on WTTF and WTTF.com, but I'm pretty sure you can see the live stream of that as well. LEC, This is probably our best game other than Sandusky-Ross this week. Obviously, Sandusky-Ross always a good one, but Perkins at Padua-Franciscan on WLEC. That's going to be a good one Friday night. And Coast Country has Margaretta at Western Reserve. Those two teams used to start the year playing each other, now playing in week 2, so you can check that out. We are here at Frickers in Fremont. It is our high school football coaches show. Coming up, we're going to talk a little Woodmore Wildcat football as the Wildcats picked up a win last week over North Central, 37-0. So let's talk football with the Woodmore Wildcats and head coach Scott Strecker when we come back. It's the Frickers of Fremont High School Football Coaches Show live on Eagle 99 and live streamed as well. You'll find that link on the Eagle 99 Facebook page. Back with more from Frickers right after this.
Theme this year is to be the change, both on and off the field, and try to get these kids believing in themselves. And we're not satisfied with 2 wins, which the last 10 years it's where they've been stuck at. So to me, that's not as successful as the kids want to be. But they've been putting the time and the work and the effort in, and the first week showed that they're on the right track.
You got 37-0 win, which we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's always good when you go through an off season and a summer and you win that first week.
Oh.
Because everything you do is geared toward week one. Well, it's the season, but you talk about week one. Hey, we
Right.
got to get ready August 23rd, August 23rd, August 23rd.
Right.
And you get there, and it's like, I'm ready, coach.
Yeah. Yep.
But now the hard part really kind of begins, right? Because you got to, they got that first win. You can't get them. You got to keep them down, and, they can't get too high, too low, that sort of thing.
And it's hard. It's the first win they've had in that program. And I was told after the game since 2013 is the first opening
Yes.
game win that they've had.
I don't know if you heard my story on the way in. 2 years ago, I broadcast Woodmore, St. Joe.
Right.
It was 0-0 at the end of the game.
Right.
And Woodmore scores a touchdown, and St. Joe does not. The students, just felt so good for those kids. They got that win. It was the first win in a long time.
Sure.
And they run out there. I just felt good for them that night. You know what I mean? So, you said a couple things. Culture, we kind of talked about a little bit, but how do you change culture?
I think you do it by leadership. You have a set of goals that, that are designed by the kids. You give them possession of the program. They buy into what they're giving you. So we try to give some things back to the kids and let them make some decisions as far as team goals. And also with that comes expectations, and with expectations, if they're to the point where it takes some effort to get there. So these kids have set some pretty lofty goals for this year. So I've been parts of programs all over. I was, like you said, I was at St. Joe one year, but head coach at Monroeville. I was at Genoa in the programs when we were back in the days going to, deep in the playoffs
Right.
every year. So I've been part of those programs and been on sides of programs where they weren't so good. So I've been both ends of the spectrum and learned a lot from them and other coaches. So it's time to, try to impart a lot of that from what I've learned in the past, and having a good coaching staff too
That always helps.
to buy in there. Oh, it helps out immensely. And even though we only have 3 seniors this year, those 3 seniors have been very good leaders and servant leadership, where you just don't go out and bark stuff. You go out and help kids and work with kids and teach kids, and that's kind of been how we've got to this point, by servant leadership and helping others do what they need to do.
I love what you say about not barking, because a lot of people think leadership is just yelling at people.
Yeah, it's not.
It's really doing what you want them to do and showing them
Right.
by leadership. That's
Example.
why we call it leadership.
Yep.
Example, right?
Example, correct.
Yes. Anyway, that was a great point you brought. And then you said something else I want to touch on. So you talked about culture, and then you said numbers.
Right.
That's a little different. How do we get numbers up, Coach?
I think, again, we've been blessed. When I walked in there, we had 1 senior to start. The other seniors that I talked with every day, you start a culture by going into a program and being present. So in the winter, after they hired me, I was in there 3 days a week with weightlifting, recruiting the halls, basically, as
Right.
they say. And some of the seniors chose not to come out, but we have 3 that are very good. And then the younger kids, see progress. And we have 20 kids out in the freshman class.
That's great.
So we have 45 kids out for football, which is a blessing, from
For
other
Woodmore,
programs
that's
that are here.
great.
It's for anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we have more than a lot of bigger
Now,
programs.
you're
around
7,
the area.
right? No, you're 6.
We're
You're
6.
Division 6.
Yep, we're
Wow.
6. But as many as some of the other bigger programs, the D4s and 5s around the area.
Yeah.
So we're very blessed with the numbers we have.
Scott Staker is my guest. He's the head coach at Woodmore. I want to thank Joe Wyatt. He was here earlier from Gibsonburg. Ryan Lozier, the new head coach at Lakota. And we had Cade Long on tonight, head coach of our defensive coordinator for the Little Giants. I almost said head coach. He's the nephew of Scott.
I just talked to Joe, so I'm glad to know that I'm not at least the oldest coach in the league now. So
He actually
that made me feel good.
he said, I didn't ask him, but he said 71.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say how old I am, but I'm younger than Joe. So
I will say I had a birthday on Friday, and it's just not sitting well with me. And I feel like ever since then, my brain has just been fogged. So.
it's just a number.
I know it is, but anyway. I'm like you, though. I spend all day around high school-aged kids, and it makes you think about your days when you were much younger,
Oh, yeah.
of course. Let's talk about your coaching staff. You said you were blessed to have such a great coaching staff. Before we
Well-
talk kids, let's talk coaching staff.
Well, kids, speaking of, well, not a kid anymore, but my son still helps, and he's helped us since the 5th grade, Nathan. Have Coach Strong is back as our D coordinator. Coach Doofendock I coached back in the days of Genoa, and he's come on. He's a very smart, intelligent football player. Coach McGee, Coach Partridge, and Coach Unverfurth, which they just hired as a new teacher there. So a lot of, older guys mixed in with younger guys, and everything seems to be working really well. And Coach Lee, who coached there years and years ago, has come in every now and then, just helping out a little bit defensively, and it's been a ray of sunshine coming in, talking, and just a different perspective.
It's funny. I was talking about. It's nice to see these younger kids getting into coaching because
Sure.
we've had a gap. In my opinion, we've had a little gap here for a while. So it's nice to see the younger kids getting into it. I'm sure you think so too.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Because we want to see if these kids need to succeed, they need coaches to be able to do that.
Right.
And because of the situation we're in with, let's say, parenting at this point and some of the stuff you have to deal with, it's just not fun sometimes to be a coach. So that's part of the game right now, and it's just not a fun part of it. I know.
And we have to be the parents sometimes, and look out after them, stay after school. And we have a lot of young kids, and it was kind of funny. One of the coaches said the other day, he goes, "How many kids you got for football?" I'm like, 45, and they're like, "When I come to visit, I don't see any cars in the parking lot." Because we don't have kids that are driving yet. We have so many kids. It doesn't look like we have the numbers.
Because they're 15 or 14.
Correct.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So we're playing with a lot of young kids.
That's funny when you say that.
No cars.
Yeah.
Yep.
I never thought because you only have 3 seniors, so they probably drive. Some of your juniors do drive, but some don't.
Correct.
Because my daughter's a junior, but she just turned 6. You know what I mean? So it's a weird
Yeah.
age. So, all right, let's talk about your team, and let's go back to Friday night. I got some stats from your win, your 37-0 win over North Central. But it looked like, Coach, you had a pretty good well, I thought I had stats, but they're not there. But tell me about your performances on Friday.
Well, we had a good rushing game. Landon Rich had 24 carries for 202 yards.
Wow.
So in my
is he one of your seniors? Or is he?
He's a junior.
Junior? Okay.
So in the offense I run, which is a little bit of I mixed with wing T, morphed in. So we're not in a spread.
So you're more of a running situation.
Yeah, running situation, pro sets, things like that. And we had some other guys contribute. Michael Seeger had a good night rushing and passing, and Wesley Kaiser caught a long touchdown pass for us, and Jesse Lopez also caught some balls, and we have a pretty good tight end, and Carter Walper. So we have some offensive weapons that we can use, but our defense also held North Central to -4 yards
total offense.
Total offense.
That's not like passing or rushing.
Everything.
That's offense.
That's everything, and that's a team that beat us last year, 30-6. So kind of flipped the table on them, even though they lost quite a few seniors.
Yeah, but still, that's a huge turnaround.
It's a great turnaround. It's a
well. Let's do the math here.
Yeah.
So what was the score last year?
I think it was 30-6.
Okay, so that's a 67-point turnaround.
Right.
If you do the math. Well,
that'd be great for every game.
Yeah, right. So obviously, did you talk to the kids afterwards about look, okay, so this was last year,
right,
and this is what happened this year. You put in this hard work, this happened.
Right.
See what happens when you put in hard work.
So our whole theme, the whole theme we've had this year is be the change. And if you own that and you change individually, you change as a team and change as a group. So you walk in there and the slates, literally, when I walked in there, I wiped every slate clean as far as weightlifting stats, all the stats and everything, and we also had open tryouts for everybody. We had kids that were linemen wanting to play quarterback. I'm like, all right,
whatever, we'll try it.
Yeah, we'll try it, and we did through all that. So once they got out of their system and got used to their three-point stance again, it's all good. So, but we've made some moves.
Sounds like the first day of junior high football when they're like, okay, what position would you like to play?
Yep.
And I remember I said, quarterback, coach. I'm looking into the camera here. And he's like, okay, you're an offensive lineman. Go.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay. So.
Well, we moved Carter Walper was a tackle last year, and we moved him to tight end. So I looked at him.
Does he get a catch a pass?
No, he's caught some.
Okay, there you
go.
So
he's living his best life right now playing tight end, that's for sure.
The pop pass from back in the day was a good one.
Yeah, oh yeah.
For the tight end, I mean. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So we got a lot of good guys. Our line's come along. We're awful young, but we're learning as we go.
Coach, when you start on the plus side, everything looks good. You know what I mean?
Half the teams half the teams in Sable High are 1-0, and half are 0-1 right
but
now.
I think no matter what, it validates what you did all summer. I think so.
We're
For the
working at
kids. For the kids.
Oh, sure. I
mental.
get it. Yep.
Let me mention that we're here at Frickers in Fremont. We're here every Wednesday night for the High School Football Coaches Show. Hope you'll join us tonight. It's Sirloin Steak Night, $7.99 for sirloin steak plus a side and a roll. My gosh, $7.99. Can't beat that in this day and age. And then Thursday nights we have chicken chunks, the meal for $7.99. Monday it's boneless wings at Frickers for 79 cents. And Tuesdays 89 cents bone-in wings. And don't forget to ask for Haley. Okay, Haley. Yeah, she's great. She does an awesome job, right, Nick? Nick? Yep, she's awesome. So anyway, there you go. All right, we're here with Scott. He, of course, is the head coach of Woodmore, Scott Staker, and they're coming off their win over North Central. So let's talk about this week, Scott. You're at home for the home opener, and you'll play. Well, let's see here, Mount Pilar.
Yep, Mount Pelier.
Pelier,
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Way out northwest.
Okay, and I don't think I've heard of Mount Pelier actually.
It's a D7 school out west, North Central, out in that neighborhood, Hilltop,
Okay.
Eden, out that way. Again, they beat Woodmore last year 9-7 in a close game, so we anticipate a pretty decent team from them. So again, it's up a little bit. Again, like I said, coming into week 2, we've got some more things to polish up to get better on, and we're the underdog in every game. So
when you looked at them on Huddle, what'd you think?
Really good quarterback. Quarterback's mobile, throws the ball, runs a lot, and they have a couple good receivers. Their D-line is good, and offensively, again, they like to get the ball out, spread it around, run around a little bit. So hopefully our style of offense will take its toll. They don't have the numbers that we do, so we're hoping that eventually we'll wear on them and we'll come out with a W.
Now this can't be right. You play, is this Cleveland John Adams?
Cleveland John Adams, game
What?
3. Yeah. So
How the heck did that happen?
well, when St.
St. Joe?
Cardinal Stritch
okay, yeah.
folded here with no time left on the clock, and we had to scramble to find a game.
Okay.
We just want to play a game. So our AD Steve Barr, bless his heart, looked in Michigan, Indiana, everywhere, and Cleveland John Adams is like the only one, and they're a D2 school, but yet haven't been
Very
as good as some of the D2 schools, and they play in a tough league up there. They play Glenville, which
Right.
is state championship and all that. So,
yeah, they beat Perkins in the regional final last year.
So we said, okay, let's do it, just because we want to play a game.
Right.
So it's going to be different playing at 5 o'clock on a Friday, going to Cleveland, playing down there.
Hey,
so
you'll be on Friday Night Touchdown, I bet.
I don't know where we'll be. just we got to get there. So hopefully.
I always forget. You guys watch Toledo here, and being in Sandusky, I get Cleveland. So
Right,
we
yeah.
watched Friday Night, which is Channel
There.
8.
You're okay.
You guys watch TOL.
Right.
So that's
Definitely,
So
okay.
what I'm saying is I'll see your highlights. So yeah. And then, of course, Willard, we'll just go over the schedule. At Margaretta, home to Gibsonburg.
Yep.
Cincinnati College Prep. Now, that's a D7 school on October 5th. Calvert, at Calvert, Hopewell, and then, of course, Lakota. And I was talking with Ryan about this league, the new coach over there at Lakota, Ryan Lozier, and talking about, this league is stacked right now, like the River Division. You got some pretty good teams with Hopewell. Calvert they're better than I thought they were going to be this year. Gibsonburg. So it's pretty top heavy.
It's top heavy, and there's a lot of good coaches. I know most of them. We definitely have our job cut out for us. I mean, all the media people voted us last, so it's a good bulletin board material they gave us. So we'll see how far we can move up from that position they voted us into.
I have a secret for you. The media knows nothing. So don't put any stock into preseason polls because they mean nothing. Like when you watch that stuff of your favorite NFL team, it means nothing. Nobody knows anything,
material.
right?
It's good poster board material, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's good for you because you can be, hey, this is what they think about you. Let's prove them wrong. Well, Scott, as I'm very infectious as I talk to you and taking over this program. Obviously, you want to be the foundation for the next coach, you're not going to be here 15, 20 years.
Never know.
No, well, yeah, but
I'm not as old as Joe.
right. I'm not saying that. I'm
Okay.
just saying you're laying the foundation.
Correct.
I saw something the other day. There's so many players who are part of the foundation that never see, but then what comes after is just this beautiful program that just flourishes. Let's take a Clyde. They had at some point be down here, right? And then some kids came along, and then they just kept growing the program.
Correct.
And it's just continued, and that's really what you want at Woodmore.
That's what we love at Woodmore, and that's kind of what we started at Monroeville. So all I'll say is we're doing the same basic format there at Woodmore, trying to lead by example and get these kids to believe in themselves, have faith in themselves, and base it on morals, values, and faith, family, and tradition, because they had some tradition back there. And I'm a faith-based guy.
I was going to say, I could tell you're a good Christian man talking
I
to
try,
you.
you know,
That comes through. So
keep facing forward and do what's right. That's what my wife always tells me. And it's a coach is not a good coach without a wife standing right beside.
Right, of course.
And
none of us are good men without a good wife.
And family. So I think we've got that base laid down, and I still get a lot of texts and pictures and things from players I had in the past that has been great. So if we can build that foundation here and work with these values in these kids, what I always tell the kids, it matters when you're 30.
Yeah.
So if what they do now helps build that future and their work ethic when they're 30, that's what we're there for.
All right, Scott Staker, thank you so much, buddy.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
We'll have Woodmore night later in the year, so you'll be over with your kids, and they'll get to talk on the radio and be on live stream and all that good stuff.
I'm sure they're ready for it more than you know. More than you know.
And I look forward to that later in the year, Scott.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right. That's our final coach. Hey, Nick, I want you to come over real quick because I want to talk a little high school football real quick because we've got about 10 minutes here. Thanks, Scott. I want to tell you what's coming up on the BAS Sports Network. Of course, Friday night, Nick and I will be at Clyde for Start at Clyde. Then on Eagle 99 on Friday night, the big one, Sandusky at Ross, the big rivalry game. TTF has Monroeville at Calvert on Friday night. Perkins at Petawawa Franciscan on WLEC in Sandusky. And on Coast Country, it's Margaretta at Western. So, Nick, you'll be with me Friday night over at Clyde. We'll see them take on Start. And they played really, really well Friday night against Bellevue, shutting them out 34-0. I think if Clyde can stay healthy, this is going to be a pretty good team this year.
Yeah, it'll be a really good team. I'm really excited to watch them for the first time this season. I'm really excited to be there with you, Kyle. You are one of the best in the business.
Oh, stop it. You're
great
buttering
to be
me up
there with
already.
you. I appreciate you having me on here. I'm used to being behind the camera.
No,
It's
I had
nice
about
to
10
be in front
minutes
of
to finish up the show, so I thought we'd talk a little high school football from week one. Fremont. Let's start with Fremont Ross. We'll just go through the area schools real quick. So Fremont Ross, of course, they played Columbia. They were winning in that first half, 11 to, I forget, it was 6 or 7, but then ended up losing 27-11. Then they'll have a tough test this week, but I think they got a good shot against Sandusky. Sandusky lost to Clay, so it'll be a good one Friday night at Don Paul Stadium.
Yeah, it will be a good one. And the thing that Ross fans need to remember is that they were up at half, and that's something to build on. Last year, it was kind of a rough year for Ross last year.
They lost that big senior group.
Lost a huge senior group, yeah, like you said. But for them to come out and get an early lead was big, and I'm sure the coaches are
thinking, imagining,
reimagining maybe their second half game plan from last week, and if they can come out and they can get a fast start, it's always great if you, whether you start on offense or defense, say you start on defense, if you can get a 3 and out and then drive down and score, that's going to set the tone for the whole game. So it all depends on how they start, in my opinion. If they start out strong, I think it's going to be a great game.
And you'll hear that game right here on Eagle 99. It's going to be packed house out there at Don Paul.
Sure,
that's for sure on
always
Friday
is.
night. And I'm really happy for St. Joe. They actually get to play their rivals for the first time. You know what? I think I actually did the game the last time they played on Eagle 99.
Yeah.
It's been many years ago that they actually played. And I'm pretty sure I did that game in 11-man was the last time they played.
Yeah.
That we did the game, and they'll play 8-man on Friday night. So that'll be good for them. We'll have a game on Sister Station WLEC on Saturday night.
Yeah, it'll be great for them. I'm so happy for St. Joe to start 8-man football. It's been needed for a while. I think everyone around here knew it. They were really outmatched every year in 11-man football because their numbers were so low. And now they have a chance to compete and actually, win some football games. So it's really exciting to see them have a chance and maybe get some wins under their belt.
Then we'll be at Clyde for start at Clyde on Friday. Be interesting to see if Bellevue can kind of bounce back. We'll see them not this week, but next week at Shelby. They had chances Friday night. They had 3. This is off my memory, and again, it's fading. But 3 red zone opportunities, and twice, Nick, they were on like the 1 or 2 yard line, and a penalty just cost them yardage. And now it's 4th and goal from the 7, 8, 9. It's a lot different than the 1 or 2. So the score is a little different, but Clyde did play extremely well on Friday night, and it'll be fun to watch them against Start. They have a pretty favorable schedule when you look at it. Bellevue, Start, Toledo Waite, and then this will be a good one, St. Francis de Sales, then Port Clinton, and then they have Perkins, Columbian, Sandusky, Huron, Norwalk. So they open with Perkins.
Yeah, that'll be
Which
a
obviously
tough
Perkins
matchup.
is the odds-on favorite to win the division, the upper division, and then they have to play Columbia in the weekend. So I tell you, the lake is loaded this year.
It is loaded. It's going to be a fun division to watch.
I mean, Norwalk picked up a win, but Sandusky was much better at the end of last year. Now they had a little turmoil with the coaching staff and all that. Columbian, they've been good for years. And you got Perkins there, now Clyde. And Bellevue, obviously Bellevue's down a division this year, but Clyde, they're, as long as they can stay healthy, they'll be pretty good. So it'll be fun covering them the rest of the year.
Absolutely.
Calvert had a huge win for Mike Lento. I just want to point that out. Mike might be listening tonight. He used to listen to the show all the time when he was at Lakota. But congratulations to Mike. And Calvert's 1-0, and they'll play Monroeville. That'll be a great game. Monroeville's really good, so that'll be a good one this week.
They are, and Monroeville's been down for the past couple of years, and now they got a team that can compete this year for a Firelands Conference title, so Calvert will have their hands full there, but that should be a great matchup on WTTF.
And then Perkins at Padua Franciscan. That'll be a little road trip for the LEC guys this week, but that should be a good game. That'll be one of the tougher ones for Perkins. And then this is always a good one, Western Reserve and Margaretta on Coast Country. That game's been going on for a long time. Those two teams have – well, you went to St. Paul. You know
did.
Western Reserve right there in
Absolutely.
Collins. So they have played Margaretta. They used to play week 1 all the time.
They did.
But they have played a long time. So
Well, I do know it, like you said, Kyle, and I'll tell you what, the Western Reserve Margaretta game never disappoints. It's always a good game, always a great game, so that'll be fun.
done many of those on the radio. All right, Nick, I will see you Friday night, buddy.
All right, thanks, Kyle. I'll see you then.
All right, we're going to wrap things up by telling you all about what's happening here at Frickers in Fremont. And don't forget tonight, it's sirloin steak night. Still plenty of time to come on out to Frickers and get your sirloin steak for just $7.99. Chicken chunks tomorrow night, $7.99. Then 79-cent boneless on Monday, 89-cent bone-in on Tuesday. It's every night, Frickers, the place to be. Kids eat free, of course. Come on, kids eat free. You can't beat that, right? So Frickers of Fremont, the place to be. And we will be here every Wednesday for the high school football coaches show. I'm so glad you joined us here tonight. I want to thank all my guests, starting with Cade Long, defensive coordinator from Fremont Ross, new head coach of the Lakota Raiders, Ryan Lozier, former state champ for Clyde. So you have two Clyde players, I should say, who joined us. Cade, who coaches now at Fremont Ross, and Ryan, who coaches at Lakota. And then we talk Gibsonburg football with head coach Joe Wyatt, 5th season head coach. They'll take on Seneca East this week. And then we talk Woodmore football with Scott Staker as they picked up a win in week 1 as well. So next week it is Fremont Ross night here at Frickers. So join Tim for that. And Nick and the gang and Haley, of course, our wonderful server here at Frickers. I also want to thank Aiden Klein back at the studio for doing a great job here tonight as well. So for my crew, my name's Kyle Knight. Thanks to all our coaches, and thanks to you for listening here tonight. You've been listening to the Frickers of Fremont High School Football Coaches Show on Eagle 99.